Hi everyone, let's talk about TNA Wrestling, which was a great show, guys, because they're building up to TNA Genesis on January 19th. Let's talk about it though. Steve Macklin and Eric Young and Jonathan Grissom defeated the System, Eddie Edwards and Brian Myers and JDC inside the Impact Zone. Tom and Matthew welcome us to the show as the famouser sound of the System theme song hits the house speaker. Alicia Edwards speaks out the team of JDC and Eddie Edwards and Brian Myers. After the Hill Trio settles inside the square circle, their music dies down and Eric Young's entrance tunes plays and he comes out and stops, and then Jonathan Grissom comes out and joins him, and their partner Steve Macklin is out next, and the three head to the ring for their opening contest. As soon as the bell sounds, Eddie Edwards gets the quick offense jump on Grissom and he splashes him with some stiff forearm shots and beats him down in the corner. He whips him into the cinch corner and charges at him, but runs into a big boot from Jonathan Grissom, and Jonathan Grissom takes over on offense and puts the boot to a grounding Eddie Edwards in the corner before tagging Eric Young in, and Eddie Edwards quickly shoves the momentum back in the System's favor, taking it to Eric Young and assistly tagging in Brian Myers, and Brian Myers picks up where Eddie Edwards left off, but runs into a dropkick from Eric Young that once again sees the offense momentum swinging to the other side, and Eric Young gets in some offense on Brian Myers onto the floor, but Alicia Edwards gets involved with a distraction which allows the System to take over once again, and JDC tags in and goes to work as the legal man in the ring with the softest up, and Eric Young ascends the arm of Eric Young and forces his attack on the limb, and he brings him to the System's corner and tags Eddie Edwards back in, and the two hit some double team stops, and then Eddie Edwards takes back over, and Steve Macklin and Eric Young butt head at one point, and Jonathan Grissom since plays Peacemaker after the chaos calms down in a bit. Steve Macklin ends up as the legal man in the ring with JDC, and he hits his KIA finisher on the System's members for the finisher, and that's how he won the match. And I'll repeat it again, guys. I'll repeat it again. Steve Macklin and Eric Young headbutt at one point, and Jonathan Grissom Smith to play Peacemaker. After the chaos comes down a bit, Steve Macklin ends up as the legal man in the ring with JDC, and he hits his KIA finisher on the System members for the pinfall victory, and that's how Jonathan Grissom and them defeated the System. I'll say it again. That's how Jonathan Grissom and Eric Young and Steve Macklin defeated the System. Oh man, that was a fun match to start the show, guys. That was a fun match. Then, once the match wrapped up, the System attacks the trios with chairs. Then, after beating down Eric Young and Steve Macklin in the ring, they put the chair over Jonathan Grissom's head on the floor and run him into the steel ring post, and they all post and taunt the booing crowd to Eric Young and Steve Macklin run them off with chairs of their own. Then we had the story of Joe Henry. The story of Joe Henry. After the opening match wrapped up, Tom and Matthews talk about Joe Henry earning the next shot at the wanted man Nick Nemeth for the TNA World Championship at the upcoming TNA Genesis 2025 pay-per-view later this month. And a very since documentary style video package airs with Joe Henry telling the story of his assurance on the his emergence on the scene in the pro wrestling business from a young lady in Scotland with a dream and some hustle all the way to his present day spot as the number one contender for the top prize in TNA wrestling. Once the video promoting Joe Henry's side of the Equalition for the next TNA pay-per-view main event, the show heads to a commercial break. Then we had Xia Li. I call her Xia Li, her old name, but I'll repeat it again. Li Yang Lee. I was thinking Li Yang Lee defeated Devon Evans and Savannah Evans. I'll say it again. Li Ling Lee defeats Savannah Evans, and Savannah Evans makes her way out and heads to the ring as she returns from the break. And Saya Brookside comes out and essentially says, "Watch this," and we see footage from TNA Turning Point where Brookside points out she had her beat till she was screwed, and she mentions getting injured and notes someone else did too, and that person is ready to get her revenge on Evans right now. And the lights go out and the theme for Li Ying Lee hits, and out comes the famous WWE superstar, Xia Li, like I said, and she hits the ring and goes right after the monster since Evans and takes it to her straight out of the gate, and Lee brings Evans out to the floor and hits a running cannonball off the apron for a big crowd pop. And back inside the ring, Lee hits a big, I'll say again, hits a huge, a high, I'll say again, Lee hits a high spot off the rope for a close to, I'll repeat it again, guys, I'll repeat it again. Lee brings Evans out to the floor and hits a running cannonball off the apron for a big crowd pop. Back inside the ring, Lee hits a high spot off the rope for a close 2 count. As the action continues, Savannah Evans gets in some offense of her own for the first time in the bout, and her run in control of the offense isn't long lived. However, and Lee ultimately takes back over moment later and finishes Evans off for the victory in her big return experience. And that's what happened right there. Then Jordan Grace with a beef of turd message for Tessa Blanchard, and once the knockouts action in the ring whips out, we shot backstage. Jess Miller is standing by and about to introduce her guest, but before she can say much of anything, Jordan Grace snatched the microphone out of her hand, and then the juggernaut lands just directly into the camera shot, and Blaney states, "Tessa, if you want to fight, let's fight, bitch. I'll be in the ring later. Meet me there." After this beef, but to the point backstage interview statement wraps up the show heads to another commercial. That was great. That was great with Jordan Grace. That promo, great. Just freaking great. Then we had TNA Plus moment of the week. Kurt Angle versus Jeff Jarrett, TNA Genesis 2009. I'll say it again. I'll repeat it again. We had a little video showing the past, showing the past of TNA Plus moment of the week. Kurt Angle versus Jeff Jarrett, TNA Genesis 2009. They were showing that. Then the National TNA Genesis shows returns later this month with TNA Genesis 2025 scheduled for January 19th at the Curtis Crowell Center in Garland, Texas, featuring Nick Nemeth versus Joe Henry for the TNA World Championship. Then we had a gauntlet match in TNA as well. We had a gauntlet match in TNA as well this week. And Mike Santana defeated Juice Carlos, and a beef video package airs with Rosemary sending a message to Musa Slamovich, making it clear that she still got her strength set on the TNA Knockout Championship. Once this wraps up, we turn inside the Impact Zone for the next match of the evening, and Mike Santana's theme song hits, and the fans' favorite makes his way to the ring for his advertised one-night gauntlet against Josh Alexander and the Northern Army. Out next are the Northern Army duo of Julius Arquez and Travis Williams. No sign of Josh Alexander yet, and the bell sounds, and the first of 3 potential match in a row gets underway, and Mike Santana gets the early and dominate jump on offense and taking it to one half of the center and same duo with a relative ease within all of 2 minutes, and Mike Santana takes him out with the spin the block for the win, and that's how Mike Santana won, with the spin the block. Then Mike Santana defeated Travis Williams and Mike Santana remains in the ring and waits to see who will be joining him for his second of 3% steps about with no walking weapon in sight yet. And this is Travis Williams who steps inside the square circle and the bell sounds and Mike Santana's second gauntlet match gets underway and Mike Santana gets early offense advantage over and Travis Williams shoves the momentum after a minutes of somehow as things continue. The show heads to a mid-match commercial break. When the show returns, it isn't long before Mike Santana dumps Travis Travis Williams on his dome and begins a fire-up offense comeback. And moments later, he finishes off the Northern Army members, leaving only one more opponent. Then it was Mike Santana defeating Josh Alexander by disqualification, which I don't mind because they're going to replay this match. They're going to have this match again at TNA Genesis. Mike Santana fences Josh Alexander at TNA Genesis. We're going to see that, guys, with Josh Alexander and Mike Santana. And I really like to see Mike Santana win because he's really good. I love him, man. Even when he was in AEW with teaming up with Ortiz, you know, I don't know what Ortiz is doing. I think he's injured still. I don't know what's going on with Ortiz, but it is what it is. It is what it is, guys. The theme for Josh Alexander hits, and out comes the walking weapon before Mike Santana can do anything. He sneaks, attacks, and a brush by Josh Alexander and the Northern Army duo of R. Curtis and Williams, and the trio beats Santana down with Alexander, leaving him laying after a C4 spike. Fans chant, "You look stupid. You look stupid. You look stupid," as the Northern Army lands over the layout Santana in the middle of the ring. Then we had George Iceman announce pre-launch of championship celebration of Alekits, and backstage the personal ascent of Ash by Alekits, and George Iceman is shown, and he tucks directly into the camera to make a brief announcement and something huge, something special that the whole world is going to want to see. Iceman said, "I'm going to do something that takes guts, something no one in the history of this company has ever done." Man, we'll see. And he added, "I see Heather and Ash by Elegance as TNA Knockouts Tag Team Champions next week in front of the entire world, and we're going to do a pre-launch of the championship celebration of Elegance," and we head to another commercial break. Then we have Raven confronts Rosemary to have a Clockwork Orange House of Fun match. Fun right here, guys. Fun stuff right here. With Raven confronts Rosemary to have a Clockwork Orange House of Fun match. When the show returns, Rosemary is shown backstage talking in trademark Ascent fashion about how she is coming for the TNA Knockouts Championship, Masa Slamovich, as she continues walking in her Ascent style and walks pro wrestling legend Raven and Rosemary talk brief fly before Rosemary grabs him and puts a knife to his throat, and Raven calmly decides her to drag Mustafanovich into a Clockwork Orange House of Fun match, and Rosemary likes that idea, which we're going to have that match, guys. Then we had the Rascals, Trey Manuel and Zachary Wentz defeating the Good Hands, John Skyler and Jason Hutch. Back inside the Impact Zone, the Good Hands team of John Skyler. I said Josh, didn't I? John Skyler and Jason Hutch come out with a microphone in hand, and they do their suits reflections of, you know, I'll say it again, guys. They do their suits, Rick Rude entrance suits, complete with the city names Sweat, Hog, and Salt. And then the popular duo of the Rascals, Trey Manuel and Zachary Wentz, ascends from their treehouse to make their way out to the ring next, and the crowd gives them a big pop coming out, and the commentators mention the Rascals challenging the Hardys for the tag team titles at TNA Genesis. I can't wait for that match. The Rascals says it's the Hardys. I think that's going to be a good match, a really good match. Then after the bell sounds, we see the Rascals get off to the early offense start, and it doesn't last long, however, as Zachary Wentz ends up a since in the ring, which Hutch and Skyler take turns a since tag and brief sense of double team offense, and Trey Manuel finally gets the much needed tag and helps the Rascals shove the offense momentum back into their favor. They cruise from there I'll say again, cruise. They cruise from there in in route to a victory. I'll say again, into a in route victory, and that's how they won with the super kick and a spine buster feeds them to the Lions and a combo finisher for the pinfall, and that's what happened right there. Then we had Frankie Kazarian approaching Rhino backstage following the tag team and we shot backstage where Rhino is shown taping his wrists up ahead of his match alongside Joe Henry against the team of TNA World Champion Nick Nemeth and his brother Ryan Nemeth. And Frankie Kazarian walks up and makes an innocent comment, making it clear he'll be watching the main event tag team about closing brief after this brief backstage in in interaction wraps up. The show heads to another commercial break. Then we had Moose facing Andrew Everett. I'll say again, guys. Andrew, Andrew Everett. I'll say again, Andrew Everett. I'll say again, Andrew Everett. Man, you guys have seen him in AEW. He has been in AEW as well. He's an indie wrestler. But yes, guys, Moose faced Andrew Everett, which was a little fun match. Could have been longer, but it is what it is. Moose defeated Andrew Everett to retain the TNA X Division Championship. And when the show returns, we get a quick backstage promo from Eric Young and Steve Macklin, who make a declaration of war against the system. We then return inside the Impact Zone to the single most annoying sound in the world. Do you want to know something? The line annoying you have to the synth voice of the system, Alicia Edwards. Alicia Edwards always saying, "Do you?" What I'm saying? Alicia Edwards always saying, do you really want to know something? And as always repeating over and over and over again to growing boos from the crowd and attendance. Moose in there hears and he joins her in the ring. And Moose Bells being the greatest X Division champion of all time in the face of the company after he bros on for a while, including a fails to debut and new TNA X Division Championship belt at TNA Genesis 2025, and he's cuts off by, of all people, Andrew Everett, and he makes his way to the ring and takes issue with Moose and claiming credit for any kind of X Division history. And Andrew Everett claims he is a true X Division competitor before Moose warns him that one more word is going to get his ass kicked. And Andrew Everett did not head Moose warning to get a big right yellow sinker to grill for it. And Moose then tells Andrew Everett he's just learned himself and has since X Division title shot. And Moose demands a referee to get out to the ring, and this street closed and a since super bright yellow stickers, and the system's leader presents to the lay a beat down on Andrew Everett as his challenger at TNA Genesis 2025, and Ace Austin is shown watching on a monitor backstage, and Moose gets the win, and we head to another commercial break. Then Santino Marella, approached by Sami Callihan, makes an announcement backstage. We see Santino Marella looking at his phone when he approached by Sami Callihan, and Sami Callihan brings up the TNA Tag Team title picture and coming up about between the Hardys and the Rascals at TNA Genesis 2025. And Sami Callihan managed how he and PCO had never been pinned or submitted as a team, and Santino offered Sami Callihan and PCO a match against the Hardys next week. If they win, they'll be added to the Hardys fences the Rascals for the TNA Tag Team Championships at TNA Genesis 2025. So yes, guys, if PCO and Sami Callihan win, they'll be added to the match. I hope it happens. I really hope that Sami Callihan and PCO get added, so it'd be PCO, Sami Callihan, the Rascals, fences the Hardys. It'll be great. It'll be freaking great, man. A triple threat. Can't wait. We'll see what happens, though. But I think it's going to be the Hardys fences the Rascals, but we'll see. But I really want to see a triple threat, though. Then Jordan Grace and Tessa Blanchard, while pulled apart brawl back inside the impact zone. Jordan Grace walks to the ring. It looks all business, and she gets on the microphone and manages the name Tessa Blanchard, and and she says Tessa Blanchard should be terrified of what she could say right now, and said she offers Tessa Blanchard the same opportunity she offered anyone, in which is to come to the ring face to face so she can say it directly to her. And Tessa hits the ring from off camera, and Jordan Grace appears ready for her, and Jordan Grace begins drilling Tessa Blanchard with shots, but Tessa Blanchard lands a big kick that mercilessly drops the juggernaut, and Tessa Blanchard and Jordan Grace roll around and fight as officials swarm the ring and ultimately break them up, while the fans are loudly chanting, "Let them fight! Let 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 them fight!" And then the show heads to another commercial break, and then we had the main event. Then we had the main event, which was good. Love the main event. Love the main event with Nick Nemeth and Ryan Nemeth versus Rhino and Joe Henry. Loved it. I loved it. Let's talk about it though. So it's main event time, but first, Tom and Matthews appear on camera to make something announcement for matches on next week's TNA Impact. See below, as well as TNA Genesis 2025 added to the pay-per-view coming up on January 19th in Gerland, Texas. Is Jordan Grace versus Tessa Blanchard, and Mike Santana versus Josh Alexander, and Rosemary versus Musa Slamovich in a Clockwork Orange House of Fun match. I can't wait to see what happens with Musa Slamovich and Rosemary in that Clockwork Orange House of Fun match. I can't wait for that Clockwork Orange House of Fun. I'll repeat it again. Clockwork Orange House of Fun match. I can't wait for that, for the TNA Knockouts title, as well as Ash and Heather by Elegance face Spitfire duo Joey Threat and Dana Luna for the TNA Knockout Tag Team titles. And then inside the Impact Zone, we hear the first sound of the TNA Hall of Famer Legend Rhino's theme hits, and this begins out of the Master of the Gore to the ring for our final match of the evening, as popular partners Joe Henry makes his way out next to the big crowd presents, and Ryan Nemeth and then his big partner TNA World Champion, the one-man Nick Nemeth, makes their respective ring entrance next, and the crowd be to say the show heads into a quick commercial break. Back in this one gets started, and the show returns. Ryan Nemeth and Rhino kick things off for their respective teams, and Frankie Kazarian is on special guest commentary for this one, and it isn't long at all before Ryan Nemeth changes his mind and reaches over to tag in Big Brother to deal with the man beast. The man beast Nemeth does exactly that and ends up enjoying some early offense control and really good stuff back and forth. Really good stuff. Boom, 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 boom. Tag team. Really good stuff, guys. Really good stuff. I'm telling you. Really good stuff. Joe Henry and Ryan Nemeth end up as the legal man in the ring, and Joe Henry does his trade work supercell walk around duplex spot, and he continues firing up the crowd with the stomp clap. We will rock you, 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 we will rock you. And then Queen B, as he looks to finish off Ryan Nemeth, and we go for a close pinfall since moments later, which Nick Nemeth hits the ring to break up just in time after some more chaos ensues, and Joe Henry starts to pick up the momentum some more. All four guys end up in the ring brawling when Nick Nemeth and Rhino powder out, and Joe Henry finish Ryan Nemeth off with the standing ovation for the win, and that's how Joe Henry and Rhino defeated Nick Nemeth and Ryan Nemeth with the standing ovation for the win, and that's how Joe Henry and Rhino won. Joe Henry's theme hits, and he plays to the crowd, and the final shots of the episode, and a disappointed Nick Nemeth looks at Joe Henry from outside of the ring, and Joe Henry continues side to side waving, doing the wave, and then routine along with his theme while wearing an ear-to-ear grind. And that's what happened to the show, guys. And I give this show a 9 out of 10. I give this show a 9 out of 10. I give this TNA a 9 out of 10. It was a great show, guys. Loved it. Loved it this week, guys. Loved it. I give it a 9 out of 10. Oh man, I can't wait. Just can't wait for TNA Genesis. I really can't wait, man. Oh, I can't wait, man. I'm telling you. I can't wait, guys. Like I said again, I can't wait, man. I can't wait. So yeah, that's all I have to say, guys. And we'll see what happens this coming week, this coming Thursday with TNA. We'll see what happens with TNA Wrestling this coming Thursday. And that's all I have to say, guys. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit those notification bells as always, guys. This is Christopher Jackson Denver. I'll say it again. This is Christopher Jackson Denver. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit those notification bells as always, guys. And I give this TNA Wrestling a 9 out of 10. And we're out. Peace out and take care, guys. Peace out and take care.